So everyone, welcome to Power Play with CJ. One of the best parts of being back in Boston is being able to talk hockey with more people and sort of knock on Tampa. It's just the reality of the situation. One thing that came up watching the Minnesota Wild play Winnipeg today, and obviously Charlie Coyle had that amazing shootout winner, was hockey players to come out of the South Shore region of metropolitan Boston. Obviously, Charlie's most recent one. Recent times, Tony Monty, Jeremy Roenick, being the two that come to mind. But Kevin Stevens came from the same area down in Pembroke, and it's kind of funny. There's a lot of similarities between Coyle and Kevin Stevens. I was kind of asking myself, if there's one New England player that I think Coyle's game is similar to, it's Kevin Stevens. Part of it, what helped Kevin Stevens accumulate such great statistics was, landing on a line with that guy Mario Lemieux, and that'll boost anyone's stats. It's funny, I looked it up today. In the year they won the second cup in '92, he had 54 goals, 123 points, and 254 penalty minutes. He's the only player in the history of the NHL to have 50 goals, 100 points, and 200 penalty minutes. That's pretty friggin' cool, if you ask me. And I think there's a lot of similarities, like I said, between Coyle and Stevens. I think one major difference is Coyle was highly touted coming out of the South Shore Kings and their academy, whereas Kevin Stevens was a six-round pick of the Los Angeles Kings. But then out of the one down on the South Shore, Silver Lake, and then I ended up at BC back when you go right from high school to college hockey. And it's actually one thing they do have in common is we actually both traded while they were in college. The Kings traded his rights to Pittsburgh, and the obviously Coyle had his rights traded from San Jose to Minnesota. Both big power forwards that emulate tenacity, working the corners, going to the high traffic areas, and both intriguing players. Coyle was end of the first round pick. Bob McKenzie, I remember said something along the lines of he's probably going to be a great bottom six forward. But you look at it now, Charlie's going back and forth between center and the second line and playing on the first line, right wing for the Minnesota Wild, the team that's one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League right now, and was playing on the first line of a playoff team last year. So I'm not knocking McKenzie, but shit. Exceeding the hype, I think is pretty cool. But I like the similarity, something to watch. Now, knock on wood, Mr. Coyle never ends up with a crack horn. He's St. Louis like Mr. Stevens did. But hey, that does happen to the best of us. Who am I to judge Kevin Stevens for his actions? But I think it's funny when it fell apart with Stevens, it really fell apart. He was a point per game player for a couple of years. Like I said, playing with Lemieux, playing with Yager, one of the tallest lines in the history of the NHL. They were all over 6'4". For a couple of years in Pittsburgh. But I think it's just pretty cool. One other thing that dampens the comparison between Stevens and Coyle is, Stevens was playing in the wide open, the wild, wild west when, everyone was scoring 50 goals. And, Charlie's playing in a more, it's not the dead puck era, so to speak. I think the years leading up to the lockout were the, proverbial dead puck era, but it's still not 50 goals. Still don't come as easy as they used to. Not that they ever really came easy to anyone. Although some guys made it look easy. Gretzky scoring 92 kind of puts that in perspective. But anyway, that's on this episode of the Power Play with CJ on the Charlie Coyle Kevin Stevens comparisons. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the season and beyond. Later, guys.